Okay, hi again. Here we go with chapter 9. In his bedroom, Barry looked at himself in the mirror. He wasn't, it has to be said, entirely comfortable in the suit. Peevish had helped him put it on, which had felt a little weird as his mum and dad hadn't helped him dress for a long time. But then again, he didn't normally wear suits, and certainly not suits with cufflinks, and bow ties. Well, he had once worn a bow tie to a party of Taj's, but it had been a clip-on. The shirt even had a high stiff collar like Peevish wore, which you had to tie the bow tie around. Barry had tried to tie the bow tie himself, thinking it couldn't be that different from the knot he tied in his laces, but it just meant that his neck ended up looking like a big shoe. So Peevish helped him, and, even though he wasn't comfy, he looked good. Barry thought, surveying his image in the mirror once more. He looked a bit like James Bond, which was very good, as that was what the party was meant to be about. It had been difficult to explain the party theme, as neither Lord nor Lady Radowelov, nor any of the children with names like Jeremy, had ever heard of James Bond. It was becoming clear to Barry that this world, although very like his in some ways, was also quite different, and not just in the obvious children choosing their parents way. But he had done his best to explain to his prospective mother and father about his spy hero. Although they'd been confused about a lot of things, MI6, Spectre, jetpacks, and Barry going da 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 da, they had jumped up in the air clapping when he said two little magic words: casino and guns. "Oh," said Lady Radowelov, "we've got loads of those." "Casinos?" said Barry. "No, guns. But we can do the casino in the great room, can't we, Lord R.W.?" "Yes," said Lord Radowelov, "as long as you don't lose another 3 million like you did last time, Lady R.W. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha." Barry had laughed along with this, but then stopped, realizing he didn't actually know what he'd been laughing at. There was a knock on the door. Barry thought about what to say. Then he remembered. "Come." Silence. Then from outside the door. "What, in?" Yes." The door opened. Peevish leant in. "Your guests are awaiting for you, O great Punjab," he said. Chapter 10. Barry had never seen anything like it. The great room alone was bigger than his school assembly hall. It was lit by a series of enormous hanging chandeliers, whose light sparkled off the silver turning handles of the 3 large roulette wheels, which had been set up in the middle, and off the jewellery of all the amazing dressed ladies who were filling up the space beneath. There were loads of green tables, around which some of these ladies, but mainly men in tuxedos, were sitting playing cards. Everyone was holding drinks in tall glasses and talking and laughing. In the corner, a man in another tuxedo, only with a really long jacket, was playing a grand piano. It did look, Barry had to admit, very like some of the scenes in Casino Royale, the proper one, not the one with David Niven in it. It even sounded a bit like it, as the man on the piano was clearly trying very hard to play the James Bond theme, only not quite getting it quite right. Above the piano, strung between the walls, was a large banner, made, as far as Barry could make out, of silk, on which someone had managed, in the few hours since he had told Lord and Lady Radowelov the idea, to embroider the words, "Barrington's James Bound Party." "Barrington!" screamed Lady Radowelov, and rushed over. She was wearing a long ball gown and a new hat, which had a model on it of what looked like a stretch limo sports car. "Do you like it?" she said, seeing Barry look up. "Yes. It's an Aston Martin. That's what you said James Bond drives, didn't you?" "Bond," said Barry. Lady Radowelov opened her arms and gave him an enormous hug, squeezing him tightly between her quite large bosoms. As she bent down, the stretch Aston Martin at the top of his vision wobbled. "We will, my darling. We are," she said. "What?" said Barry, slightly muffled. Bonding, of course. Drink? She stood up again and snapped her fingers. Peevish appeared from nowhere, carrying a tray. Yes, please. Peevish, did you make up the drink as Barrington explained? Without question, Lady Radawelloff. She took a triangular glass off the tray and handed it to Barry. A martini. It's still lemonade with a grape in it, rather than vodka and an olive, but as you requested, stirred, not shaken. She smiled, and Barry took the glass. Actually, I said it should be... He paused and looked at her big, smiling face. No, right. Thanks very much. He took a sip of the drink, which was delicious. Chocolate? He looked up. Peevish was now holding a tray of golden balls, arranged as an enormous pyramid. My goodness, Peevish, with these you're really spoiling us, said Lady Radawelloff. Peevish smiled and bowed his head at her. No thanks, said Barry. Maybe later. What would you like to play? Blackjack? Quoits? Faux and pur? Texas Hold'em? 5-card naughty bum? Penny come quick? Tucker's maltings? Burundu? Stinky finger nothings? Or Lucky Dicky? I don't know any of these games. Oh, said Lady Radawelloff, looking very disappointed. She thought for a moment. Silky knickknacks? Basically, the dealer is the flop, and each player has to lead with a jack, which is called the hunter, and then you bet who's going to have the lowest suit in any one colour, as long as it's not diamonds. If it is, the flop removes his silky knickknacks, i.e., hands over his cards, of course, and... No, I don't think I can play that. Sorry. What can you play? Top trumps, said Barry, and snap. Lady Radawelloff shook her head. Frightfully sorry, Barrington. Never heard of those. Barry looked round. I could play roulette. That looks like fun. Lady Radawelloff brightened immediately. Super idea, she said. Here, have a chip. For a second, Barry expected to see her hand over a thin, fried potato covered in salt and vinegar. But instead it was a small plastic red circle. On it were written the words, £1,000,000. She pressed it into his hand and began marching him in the direction of the roulette tables. Is this the smallest amount you have? Said Barry, looking at the chip. Afraid so, she said, without a backward glance.